Hello, everybody, and welcome to another live House of Delusion deep dive. Today, we're going to be diving into Gaga's highly anticipated lead single from LG7, Disease. I'm joined by Connor and Cal and all of our lovely members. As always, you guys, this will be more fun the more you participate. So feel free to ask us questions, offer your insights into whatever we're talking about, and it's going to be a good time. First, I hope that everyone has been streaming Disease. I know I certainly have. But I feel like it makes sense to just start at the beginning. So we had what was it, like 3 weeks of silence, right? Okay, I see nodding. That's confirmation. So we had 3 weeks of silence, and then um was it like last Thursday that we saw um something happening with the track titles?
Thursday, Friday, definitely late last week. Um, because I think it was like Saturday or Sunday when someone found like that link that was in her like code for disease.
Yeah.
So that all happened like kind of around the same time.
Yeah, so basically we someone had started reporting seeing certain track titles with the first letter lowercase and then the rest of the title uppercase. So it was like um I Like It Rough, Dance in the Dark, um Electric Chapel, Art Pop, um Sinner's Prayer, uh Enigma, and Smile from Harlequin. I must be obsessed. I don't know how I remembered all of that. Actually, before we started recording, I spent like 10 minutes looking for my glasses because I could not find them. But I can remember that. And so every I don't remember who it was, but people had put the lowercase letters together and figured out that it spelled either disease or seaside. So what were your guys' thoughts of that whole little game that her team was playing?
Justice for Seaside. That's my main comment on that.
It was definitely a fun way to tease finally after 4 million years the start of a new era, instead of just randomly just deciding to tweet out a link or a picture. And it kind of made it interactive for the fans. But yeah, I was like, Disease makes a lot more sense because I can't imagine Lady Gaga dropping Seaside as the first song off LG7 when we've heard it's kind of like a dark themed album, unless she's like killing people on the beach, which, hey,
Would it put it past her?
yeah.
And I think we also have to discuss firstly, I have been wanting her to do something like this for so long, like out of the box, like fan service, kind of like Easter eggy type stuff. And it was somewhat frustrating because like I have Spotify, a lot of other people have Apple Music, and every platform was updating, like platforms I've never even heard of, like Deezer, and like TikTok and all these other places were updating the track titles with that update, and it took Spotify. Apple Music started first, and then it took Spotify like until late Saturday. I feel I don't remember. And then so once everything was updated, I think it was like Saturday or Sunday. A playlist appeared on her whatever streaming thing you use on her page. The title of the playlist was .com, and I can't remember the first four tracks, but it spelled Gaga and then disease. So we were like, okay, Gaga disease. So everyone's like frantically running to gagadisease.com. Well, actually, I skipped a beat because someone had, do you guys remember someone had found like just typed in disease at one of the typical, does anyone want to speak to that? Because I missed some of it.
Yeah, you're talking about the smart link, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, somebody had found a smart link that many artists use to like it basically directs to a page where a song you can pre-save it, whether it be on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever. And someone found that was in like the UMG, the Universal Music Group like database. And so that's when I started thinking that this was legitimate. And then, of course, all her playlisting, teasing, which you just mentioned. But yeah.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting because gosh, I cannot multitask. We had tried, so it's like da 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 backslash disease, and we had tried like all these other phrases just to see like did someone, because I know I won most Delulu at the Delulu Awards and I run this server, but like for some reason I didn't feel like we were here yet. And so I kept deluding myself into thinking like some fan has like bought something to do this like elaborate prank. Um I wasn't believing it. I didn't believe it for quite a bit actually. And then so we knew that little thing was there, the pre-save link, and then the Gaga disease thing came, and so we go to Gaga disease, and was the TV first, or I think the TV with the claw was first. I don't remember. I didn't make any notes, you guys. I'm just doing this off the cuff. Does anyone remember what was the first thing at the Gaga disease website?
Wasn't it just the next lyric, and we had to hop through all the lyrics?
Yeah. Do
Yes.
you
Yes.
do you want to talk? Does anyone want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So we went to gagadisease.com, and I think it was I could be your doctor was the only text that was there. And if I remember right, it only worked on mobile because I could never get
Mm-hmm.
it to work on my computer. But all the people who actually use, Chrome or whatever on their phone would just see a flickering piece of text that said, I can be your doctor. And it was like, huh, interesting. And then some twink somewhere put I could be your doctor.com in and found the next thing. And then we were like, oh no, it's the whole thing. And we have to keep putting stuff into this and .com. And I think that was just the chorus lyrics came out of that little bit of sleuthing um, with that. And then I think the TV thing came after that, after we figured out the chorus lyrics.
Yes. And I can't remember like the chronology of it, but okay, so once all these lyrics started coming, I was like, okay, I feel like this is way too much for some fan, some like some Katie Cat cut to Liam to prank desperate little monsters. So I started to believe, and like the song. Um and then at some point the Gaga disease website appeared with um actually I'm like really messing up the chronology. I feel like the TV appeared on the website after she had announced it. Is that correct? I don't remember, but you guys were there. You'll figure it out. We're going to discuss all of it. So at some point, the TV, the website appeared with a TV, and it was like a monster paw reaching out and grabbing a regular hand. So it's very reminiscent of the final Gaga Chromatica Ball look. So a lot of people are theorizing it's connected to that final look, and that final look was really teasing us, which I find interesting because apparently there's tea not just from Sherry but all over the internet that the lead single has been switched. And so I'm like, was she just planning that to incorporate that visual in whatever music video ended up being the lead? I don't know, but I love like self-referential things and hidden stuff, and so I just thought it was, if that monster paw thing is in the music video, I love that kind of hidden stuff. So eventually at some point she ends up announcing disease. What did you guys think of the first, because I remember like the website appeared and it was just the word upside down, Disease. What did you guys think of that? Because that was our first LG7 visual. So what did you guys think of that? Just the disease that looked kind of like, what's it, stencil?
Yeah,
yeah.
I kind of thought it was like something that's written on roads, like a road sign. But then everyone started saying it looked like a petri dish, or like something like under a microscope. So I was like, oh, interesting. But then when we later found out, it's like, oh yeah, it's a street. But I thought it was interesting. I thought, of course, it has to be upside down. It can't just be a word with Gaga. She has to make something quirky about it. And it
Yeah.
wasn't reversed. We had a whole discussion about whether it was upside down or reversed. Let the record show.
Yeah. Like if you literally write disease on a piece of paper and turn it upside down, that's what you'll get.
I
So,
mean, I don't think you necessarily want me to give a geometry lecture, but I very easily could. So if you want me to do so, I can.
um,
But
I think Stefan says it was both. For the sake of our viewers, I think we should move on. So then we get the image of, I'm calling it Samara Ga from The Ring, laying seemingly on this car. What did you guys think of the promo image that we got?
I was like, is Katy Perry running over Lady Gaga? No, I was like, what does this have to do with disease? I was so confused, and I'm still confused, and I'm hoping for an answer soon. But it's a very striking image. It's like, I think it's supposed to make you like confused and feel uncomfortable because like it clearly is not, something good is not happening.
Yeah. What were your thoughts,
and I
Cal?
remember people were trying to figure out what kind of car it was that was hitting Gaga, or that she was sprawled over, either or. And my first thought was that it was not a Mustang, because I was like, okay, well, if it's a 1970s Mustang, then it would have these, side mirrors, and then the side mirrors don't match what it's supposed to look like in the front. And, people were looking into that. And then eventually somebody found that it was like a form of like 1976 Mustang that could theoretically be the correct car. And so, I mean, the reason why we were looking into it was because we wanted to see if it was a Mustang, because we had the clues about a possible song called Mustang coming up on LG7. And so when we figured out that it could possibly be a Mustang, we were like, yes, we're smart. We can do the sleuthing. We're good. But I don't think anyone's really looked back into that now that we've gotten the full picture of the car with the sidewalk and everything. But that's just me.
Someone said it's I know nothing about cars. Someone said it's a celebrity model, which I would find quite ironic. Um, but so the next day, well, okay, let's talk about the image for a second. So I was so excited because I've been so excited to see a black hair Gaga era. It's creepy, it's spooky, it's horror. What's interesting though is if you look at it, like you think she's like face down on the thing, but actually her head is turned, like almost like she's like listening to it, and her hands are resting, I guess. So it's a really interesting image. And I don't know, art is subjective. So it's like, is she being hit by the car, or is she listening to the sound of the engine, which I find interesting, which I'll get to in a minute. But then we had the teaser. It's like a 7-minute teaser, and you're in not the driver's seat, but like right next to it, and you're watching Gaga being chased, running away from this thing that is chasing her down with this very creepy piano playing. So what did you guys think of that teaser?
I mean, it was interesting. I mean, it was kind of funny to hear the sudden leaks of the song that came out. You know, once those four piano notes started playing over and over. And again, it didn't really like remind me of Disease, but I do hope kind of that like the the shot of Gaga looking behind her and running becomes a meme. Like we already combined it with like the Nigerian "Why are you running?" meme and like a whole bunch of other stuff. There's gifs of it on the Discord GIF finder, and so hopefully if she plays her cards right, that moment could be pretty big. Um, but yeah, I mean that's kind of what I thought, and we'll see exactly how it gets into the bigger picture of everything, once the music video finally comes out.
Yeah. Connor, what did you
Yeah.
think?
I immediately thought of like the neighborhoods of Field from Halloween. Like just it's
Oh.
very similar, very suburban, but with a creepy flair. Like I could imagine like Laurie Strode just walking by. And in the first movie, Michael drove the car and was following Laurie. But I also saw some people mention that it reminded them of that horror film a couple of years ago, It Follows, about that like supernatural force killing people. Um, I don't know. It just gave creepy vibes, which excited me because now having heard the song, which we'll get into in a bit, it definitely matches with the sound, and so I definitely don't think this is going to be a fun kind of visual piece to go with the song. It's going to be very spooky and dark.
Um yes. I have to check myself because anytime there's new Gaga music or visual, I don't know if it's because I've been a fan for a long time, but I'm overly critical. So I've learned to like ignore my first reaction and just sit with it for a minute. And I think um it may be like alluding to something like within the plot of the music video, but I don't know. I want more. Like I need more, I feel, to make a real opinion. And then so the single cover was released, and personally, like, I was somewhat disappointed only because the reveal of the cover is typically like a big thing, and it ended up being the one image we had already seen, and so I was kind of like, oh. And I was really hoping to see her face and all of that, but I've learned over the years just to trust her as an artist, and I think, you know this may be more like cinematic, or I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I don't know. I'm trying to trust her. Like, I definitely was hoping for some other kind of image. And then this isn't necessarily related to the single, but within the days leading up to this, we found out her choreographer Richie Jackson is not associated with this project, which is a huge, huge win for us. Which we don't have to get super into it, but her name uh, is her name Paris? So she choreographed Rihanna's Super Bowl performance, and as well as many other things. And the choreography is like out of this world. It's amazing. So I'm very excited to see what they bring together. Also, it was revealed the director of the music video is she's like a Ukrainian music video director. Is that correct? And she had directed um Dua Lipa's Illusion music video, which is amazing. Does anyone remember what other videos?
I think Attention from Doja Cat.
Yes, which also, I don't know if you guys like Doja Cat or not, but that music video is amazing. Oh, someone, yeah, Paris Goebel, if that's how you pronounce it, probably not. Um, and also Jenny's last video, from Blackpink. So I'm very excited. Weren't there other things to come forward, like different collaborators? other than
Like
those two?
stylists.
I cannot multitask. Um, okay, so we had found out all this information, and we're like, they had done something like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, even Sunday. Oh, Sunday was the day that all the links started happening, I think. And then Monday, Tuesday, we got stuff. And then the day before the single, which was Wednesday for my time zone, it was like complete silence. And so we were like really into this like uh more, I think Sherry had called it like a build up strategy. We were like really into this, and then it was like, oh. And then we're also like, well, where are the pre-orders for the CD and the vinyl and like all these things, because that's in 2024, that's just sort of like the standard thing. And we were, and Gaga typically is like, oh, I wrote this song, da, 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 and like this was my inspiration. And it's been very quiet in that regard, on that
Yes.
front, so we're all kind of like not really knowing what's happening. um and then that was like the day before the release, and then Thursday, my time zone, was the day of the release, and I think the only thing she tweeted out or sent out was like more lyrics.
Yes. She posted on our Instagram story.
Okay. And someone had mentioned there are typos in that post, and someone somehow, I don't know, I didn't have the brain power to look into this, but someone had said if you look into the typos, it spells out antiviruses.
I mean, I was one of the people who was going through and collocating all of the errors in spelling, and then you get like this 21, 22 character long string, and then trying to shove it into various anagram finders. Antiviruses kind of works, but you have to ignore some of the other letters in order to find it. So it's only one of the possible words.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to find like whole like phrases that you can make with all of the things, because what else am I going to do with my time? Actually work on my dissertation, please. Um, and so I mean, I found like a couple of sentences, but like none of them make sense. Um, and I think disease could be spelled out of, the letters that were spelled out that were incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it didn't really lead anywhere itself. So I think it was just us trying to, grasp at straws. But it was fun, I guess.
I mean, she can't blame us though, because like that's something we would have done like in 2020, but now she did this thing with the playlist, so it just reiterates our need to make everything cryptic. So we'll see if that leads into anything. um I think that was it as far as the teases and build up. Did I miss anything? I don't think so. Okay, so fast forward to we're gonna skip over our listening party because that was a colossal flop on my part. But I do either one of you just want to like start the discussion as far as like, okay, so you put your headphones on, you hit play, and what happened?
Is this another hold my hand? That's my immediate first thought. When I listened to her vocalizing and it was like a soft background, I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting hold my hand vibes. Am I about to have like a meltdown? And then suddenly this nasty industrial beat starts and I almost fall on the floor. Um, and the song just explodes. And I remember seeing everyone in the chat while I was listening, and everyone was freaking out because we were like, is this going to be like we had heard rumors that it was mid-tempo, so we're like, is this going to be like a soft song? Is it going to be like a light and airy pop song? But once those industrial, like heavy, nasty beats started playing, everyone was freaking out. And immediately, like some insiders and people on HRL said, I immediately was like, I'm getting like heavy metal lover government hooker vibes just from like the like very brash and bold kind of like beats. Um, but yeah, it was not what I was expecting for sure.
Mm-hmm. Cal, what did you think?
So I actually did record my first reaction to it.
Oh.
I I left Discord, I put on my shitty little webcam, and I put on my headphones, and now they're charging because I wasted the last of the juice listening to the song. And I just, made faces at the camera for 3 minutes and 40 seconds or however long the song is. Um, I mean, it was cool the first time I listened to it. I think it took another couple listens for me to like get really into it. But like Connor said, it's like, oh, good, this is industrial, this is dark, this has like EDM sort of vibes, it has good hooks, and it's in a minor key. This is has like those weird arabesque sort of things in them. So it's like I think this is what pretty much every single one of her fans wanted out of her was a song pretty much like this. And like Connor was saying, there's definitely some Born This Way song vibes in there, the kind of griminess from Government Hooker. There's the hook in the pre chorus for Disease that has the octave jump, kind of like how Judas did. Um, so there's definitely some callbacks in there that, kind of really make it a classic kind of Fame Monster, Born This Way esque time period Gaga song. And I mean, I'm a really big fan. We'll see how it does on the charts. But no, I'm very pleased with the direction it seems to be heading in.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I after a couple more times listening, I think the two things I remember saying to myself is this reminds me of Unholy. And then the more I listen to it, I'm like the da 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 I was like, that's very Judas. That's very Judas.
I had not thought of that yet. Um,
It's literally a semitone off. In Disease, it goes from B to B, and in Judas, it goes from C to C.
Interesting.
So it's very close to almost the exact same thing.
Yeah. So I obviously have to get dramatic. So I put my headphones on and I was like really frazzled because we had tried to do this listening party and it wasn't working because Discord hates fun. Um, just so everyone knows, if you try and do video in a Discord voice channel, it does not allow more than 25 people. And also, um, yeah, it wasn't working. So I put my headphones on and I hit play. And if you've been listening to the podcast, you know that I am like a Nine Inch Nails girly. I love industrial. I love like the hardest of the hardest of the hardest, like house. And I was just like honestly in shock. I mean, if you were part of the listening party, you saw me like frantically typing in what I said. But relating this to the single cover, it felt like with that first beat, she was like, I'm here. She was like, this is what it is. I remember this one interview that she had where she was talking about this is the new shit, which is actually a quote from Marilyn Manson. But um, it was like, we had Chromatica and it's like, this is it. Like, this is where we are. And it's almost like getting hit by a car. Um, and the first lyric is there's no more tears left to cry. And it's like we're entering the LG7 era. We left the LG6 era and we know how Chromatica was. Um, and her voice sounded completely different. It almost sounded like the whole vibe is very like I'm a child of like the late 90s, early 2000s, and it's very like angsty, grungy, alternative almost like new metal type vocals and delivery, so it's very that. There's so many layers. Before every verse, she does this thing where she's like, ha! And it's like my favorite thing in the whole song. Um, and I guess I'm not really like reacting to the song, but she gave us a tease of this during the Chromatica Ball tour with before she performed Sour Candy. She did this weird like screaming thing, and I remember saying like, I wonder if we're ever going to hear her do anything like that in a song. And if you really like have high quality headphones on and you really listen to like the little vocal effects before each verse, it sounds incredibly similar to the Sour Candy performance. If you are obsessed like us, you know what we're talking about. um I was completely satisfied. I've been wanting a song over 3 minutes or 3 minutes and 30 seconds. I've been wanting hard hitting industrial. Um, uh, it's like it's like the edginess and hardness of art pop with like the darkness and rock vibes of Born This Way, but then it has some soft parts like, you know, earlier in her career. And then you had mentioned like the Judas thing, and it's like she took like the best aspects of a lot of her work and put it into one song. Um in my personal opinion, it's the best lead single since Born This Way. Um So I'm just completely blown away by it. I was definitely hoping we would get a music video the same. Someone mentioned Applause. I liked Applause. But you guys cannot deny that this moment and this single is next level. She's never done anything like this. This is her highest quality work, in my opinion.
Yeah, artistically speaking, yeah. I mean, when Applause came out, it was a little bit different from the Fame and the Fame Monster, and obviously it was more pop and less rock, like the Born This Way album was. But Applause still kind of had like her similar tricks and what we expect from her sonically. It was really the only not unique, wrong word. The only out of the box thing she did with that song was her vocals. That was a very like bold thing to do with her vocals on Applause. But the production itself, it was kind of it was very in with what the sound was at that time. And this is just her vocals are different. The sound is different from the last few albums. She's doing things different with her voice that I haven't heard. But the way it's almost like she's in pain while she's softly singing in the bridge. It's just a very interesting um, uh, new piece in her catalog now. And I just want to thank whoever made that one TikTok of Bloody Mary with the Wednesday Adam footage, because I really think after Bloody Mary went viral and blew up, it like gave her the push to be like, I think I can really be supported if I go full on weird again.
Mm-hmm. I had been watching reaction videos, and one person said it seems like she's making songs to be performed live versus uh kind of like what she had done in the past, probably from pressure from the label to make it more palatable or something. But it's like this sounds like she would perform it live. Whereas if you've been a fan for a long time, you realize that you hear the song and then you go see her live, and she, you know, it's like 150%. Like she adds runs, she adds all these different little things. And it seems like with this song, she really made it how she's going to perform it live. And I thought that was really interesting. Um, and similar to Bad Romance, it has like so many different levels, and every time I listen to it I pick up something new. I mean, what's today, Saturday, you know, we've been listening to it not even 48 hours. And is that right? Did I do math right? Yeah. um and you know, I played it on my headphones, I played it, my partner was actually like, can you play the new Gaga song? And I was like, because he's like a casual Gaga fan, and anyway, so I played it on the Amazon Alexa, and it was the first time I had played it like not on my headphones, and I was like, I'm picking up all these different things. So depending on what you listen to it on, you hear different things. I also played it on in my car, and that is that is like a whole nother experience. I became my like rebellious 20, 21-year-old self where I'm blaring Gaga in my car and like with the windows rolled down and probably annoying everyone around me, but it's like you don't care. It has this punch that I feel has been missing from her work for quite a while.
Yeah,
I also
I
want to
was
go back. Sorry.
sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I was just gonna say, because Gaga mentioned in a couple of interviews, I think during like the Harlequin promo, because people would bring up LG7, and she mentioned it in that one, I think it was the Vogue article. Um, and they're like, okay, well, how are you gonna, what's LG7 gonna be like? And she said, well, I'm gonna sing on LG7 like I've not sung before. It's gonna be a different way of singing. And listening to Disease, not only are there the different layers, but like how Bling was saying, there's like the vocal hiccups and the snarls and the growls and the way that they're layered and textured definitely does make it live up to, what she's saying. And even like if I were to go back to like the Judas octave leap hook thing, in Judas it was very, like Judas, like it was very like straightly delivered and pretty. But in Disease, it's like, oh, like it almost sounds like someone sticking an IV in her, and she's like, ah, like for the second note, ah, right? Like she's playing with her voice in a way where it's different than she's done before. Because yes, she can sing and she can sing very well, but she's almost like having fun with, okay, I have a great voice now. I'm in my mid-30s. Let's have some fun with the voice. Let's see what else I can use my instrument to do, right? And I think it's just fun to listen to a kind of a very classic Gaga track, but with her, updated, Harlequin vocals and playing around and having fun with what her voice can really do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah, and I have to agree with Bling, and I also agree with everything Cal just said, especially with the Judas, very reminiscent of Judas. But I was lucky enough. This is kind of dorky. I had pulled up my local radio station, 104.1 KRBE, in Houston, and I had been refreshing it to see when it would pop up playing on live. And I was like cleaning the kitchen and I refreshed it and it said the song had started playing on radio like a minute ago. So don't even throw shoes on. I grab my car keys and I run all the way downstairs into my garage, get into my car, turn the car on just so I can hear it on the radio station. And I have to say, it sounds so good on radio. It is a song made for speakers. It gave me a whole other appreciation for the song.
Yeah, speaking of that, I'm pretty sure I've like ruptured my ears listening to this because I just like keep cranking up the bass. I mean the volume. Um and I had a thought and it went away. Um but I just I don't know, it's just like knowing what we know about her and her story and knowing that she's healed and happy and in love now and 99% pain free, um it just makes me so excited. I know a lot of us have followed her career for nearly 16 years, and it just makes me so excited that like, oh, I know what it was that she had said I sang on this like I've never sung before or whatever, and I was like, okay, whatever. But then like I heard Harlequin and I was like, oh, she really is. And then on this, that's like it's similar to Harlequin in the quality and the yesterday on the Babble On with Bling podcast, which is our sister podcast. I had talked about Gaga being fearless, and it's this thing that she had early in her career that really inspired me, and I think that's what made me a fan and helped make me fearless in a lot of ways. And this new single, it's like, I don't know, it's like when we compare it to Stupid Love, for example. Obviously that situation was completely different because the single had leaked for about a month before, but even just listening to the song, it was like I supported that song because it was her and because I had been ready for a new era. But this is the first time, honestly, since Born This Way, like someone had mentioned um how with lead singles you play them over and over and over to like hype you for the era, and some singles I feel like we play just to support her. But this song, to me, it's like it's so addicting. It's so much of what I think I and a lot of fans have been wanting. And this is the first time since Born This Way, lead single wise, so not with Applause, not with Perfect Illusion, and not with Stupid Love, this is the first time in a long time that I'm like, I'm not getting sick of the song. I can't wait to listen to it again. And I don't know. Uh Someone also had mentioned there was some other connection with Born This Way that I am forgetting.
I just wanted to add that yesterday I realized so the last full on pop song she released was Rain on Me. That was the last song that was like pushed big on streaming, actually sent to radio, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I guess you could count Die with a Smile, but and that was like her last big pop song. And the first line of Disease is "There are no more tears left to cry," and I thought that was so interesting that her last song was about like letting the tears fall, dancing through the pain, and now she's like, "Well, screw that. I have nothing left to cry about." And I just thought it was such an interesting way to kind of lead into this new era.
Yeah.
Tears Left to Cry is an Ariana song.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um Sh- uh Sherry asks, how do you think they'll continue with the promotion? Um I wonder if if they're just not gonna release the video till Halloween. I feel like given everyone knows she's like the spooky queen or whatever, I'm wondering if they're trying to like capitalize on that. And so obviously the music video, I would love a Zane Lowe interview, but I feel like that's not going to come until February. um um I don't know how they're going to continue, because honestly, like I was expecting her to talk about it. How do you guys think they'll continue with the promotion?
I just, I don't get it. Maybe I'm not smart enough to understand their strategy, but I feel like in the streaming era, you got to have like physicals and CDs on your site as well as a music video to really push a song. It's kind of become the norm. The only thing I can think of is they may be sacrificing, so to speak, a solid debut number on the charts for longevity. They may be, because with Stupid Love, we got everything. We got all the photos, we got billboards, we got the music video, we got her interacting on Instagram and posting behind the scenes footage, and then the following Monday we got Gaga Vision. I'm wondering if they're waiting to like put out the content piece by piece so that there's stuff to keep the song going instead of just throwing everything at the beginning and then the song just dying and everyone's like over it. Um, I hope the music video comes next week. I would love that. I think it would be a nice push to keep the song going, to keep people talking about it. I think Cal mentioned that, there's a viral possibility with the whole running from the car part of the music video.
Yeah.
So I don't know what their strategy is. But I mean, so far it's doing pretty well, I think. I mean, we can talk about that in a second, unless you want me to just go segueing right into that.
Well, I just want to say that like part of me thinks it's like a huge flex and like a boss bitch move to be like, I know I'm number 3 or number 4, whatever, global Spotify artist, so like I don't need to do these things. Um but as a fan, I I'm kind of like you said, like in 2024, almost 2025, you drop the song and the video the same day. That's what you do. And I don't know. As a fan, it was disappointing. It was also disappointing that the single cover was not a different image, and it was. We also didn't discuss the images that came up after the single release, which I guess we can do. I do want to answer some of these questions. So, Ronlap asks, was the first reaction immediate or did it grow on you? I was kind of worried about the monotonous verse at first, but then the chorus hit. I was officially sold when the second chorus arrived. I didn't want to say this because I felt like I would get dragged, but in the beginning, it initially it did feel kind of um like she was playing a part, like she was playing the part of the spooky queen. um but again, I had told you guys that my initial reactions, I typically have learned to leave them be because they're overly critical. But I will say, like, on first listen, I was like, oh, this does seem kind of like fan service a little bit. Like, it didn't seem, I don't know. But then I got over it. Liam, what do you guys want to answer that question?
It definitely took some time for me to really like. I liked it, but by the 10th listen, I was really loving it. It's just not exactly what I expected. To be quite frank, I didn't know what to expect.
It sounds like
It
a different character. Like, it sounds like she's created another persona, kind of.
Yeah.
What about you, Cal?
I was going to go back because I didn't get to get my 2 cents in with the promo talk. Um, and we know that supposedly, um, allegedly, there was a switch up of the lead single relatively close to the launch date. And so possibly why there's not stuff happening is because everything was planned for the other one, the other song, which is, I guess, now single number 2.
That's a good
And
point.
so if she put in any Easter eggs into that music video, or if she put in, interviews about that song, or if she had such and such plan for that song, it's like, oh well, crap, now we need to re-edit the video to put in all the Easter eggs into this video. We have to expedite the editing of this video. We have to redo all of these interviews or all of these deals, and I have to have all this time on phone calls and this and that, the other thing. So I can understand why there's no promo right now if it was so last minute that they were like, oh, fuck, we have to redo everything right now.
Right.
You might remember Gaga said that about like the night or two before the 2011 VMAs performance,
Yeah.
where she scrapped all of the costumes and then had to go to a bus company to find enough latex. And then, like, it kind of reminds me of that. Like, I don't know if that's actually what is happening, but if it is what's happening, then it kind of makes sense that there's nothing going on, why there's no physical pre-orders or anything like that, because it was all set up for something else. And now they have to like move it to something else and contact all these other companies and all these other people. And like I said, if she put in like album Easter eggs into the original first music video that she shot in August, well, I guess she could wait until January to drop all of that stuff now. But if she had wanted that to come in 2024, they might have to do reshoots or editing or who knows, and then have to rehire the people back and deal with all the scheduling. And so I can totally see why there might not be as much promo if that's the case. If
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hopefully that means though that when the second single drops, they have like everything ready to go.
So Liam is asking, do we think this is the tamest, most radio-friendly song off the new album, the one the label has kind of pushed, or do we think it's all going to be a similar vibe to this? I don't know. Because we've had certain leaks, like there's the girlfriend leak or whatever the title is, and to me that, even though it's 7 seconds, to me that seems a little more radio friendly. But I don't know. I don't know. Liam. But what I will say is that I love that from Die with a Smile, she said, I'm not falling into this like less than 3 minute song trend. I'm gonna have a bridge, I'm gonna have all the choruses and everything. Which was one of my main criticisms with Chromatica. It felt like by the time I'm getting into the album, it's over. Or by the time I'm getting into the song, it's over. And I really respect her for keeping that artistry alive and um showing that you can have like TikTok success or whatever with a longer song. And in a way, I feel like she's kind of saying, this is what's happening, but that doesn't mean all artists have to do this, including one of the most successful streaming artists right now. Dag Lazo is asking, oh, do you want to say something? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just going to also talk about Liam's question a little bit in regards to the commercialness of this song vis-a-vis the rest of the album potentially. I mean, I thought as far back as Die with a Smile being teased and then released that, and then especially that coming off of what we heard playing out of her car in Paris, that LG7 might not be as commercially viable as Interscope would have liked it to be. And so they kind of forced her to be like, okay, well, you're Gaga and we love you, so you're allowed to do this, but we're going to get you on a nice adult contemporary song with another big artist.
Right.
That's going to come first before we take a risk with you again after Art Pop and Joanne and all that shit
Yeah.
you made us do. And Chromatica, which also went down the toilet. Thank you very much. So we're going to get you on this nice, cute adult contemporary song with Bruno Mars, and we're going to push it everywhere, and it's going to be a smash. And if you're a good girl and the song does really, really well, then you can do what you want with LG7. And that's kind of how I was imagining how things were playing behind the scenes as far back as August. Um, and it seems that, Die with a Smile did really, really well. I don't know exactly why they would have switched the lead single again, quite so close. I mean, maybe Sherry could speak more to that than I could. But I mean, that's just how my thought was. Like, the whole album is not going to be as commercial as it could have liked. So I think I've seen people be like, oh, Disease, it's sort of this or it's that, and it's not, sounding exactly like how other songs are right now, or, the other things that people are complaining about to, put Gaga down or whatever right now that she has a new song out. Because, we've been saying that Disease doesn't really sound like things on the radio. Like the big things on the radio are like Espresso and Die with a Smile, things that are a little more airy and light.
Yeah.
And now we're going really dark and industrial. And maybe Interscope is a little nervous about that. So, Liam, I think you might be right. And then they kind of forced her to do Die with a Smile beforehand to guarantee a hit before they went into LG7. That's just my hypothesis.
Yeah. And so Dag Lazo is asking when music video and when CD and vinyl.
I don't know. I hope soon. You know.
I'm thinking like just because number one, Halloween falls on a Thursday and it just has that vibe. I'm wondering if they're just going to use that as a marketing tactic to say available everywhere, or music video, 9 p.m. Pacific Halloween night or something. I feel like that would be, as much as I wanted the music video already, I feel like that would be the next serve, if you will. And then the physicals would drop. Do you have anything on that, Cal?
It's feasible. It gives her an extra week to get things in order, get her ducks in a row, if that's what the issue is. But I mean, I'm not on her team. I don't really know if that's the issue. That's just a guess that I had. I mean, I would certainly like it sooner rather than later, but if that seems like an okay idea for a push for something. I don't know. I'm not in that business.
Yeah. Um yeah, I would be totally fine if the rest of the album has this type of vibe. I don't need another ballad. I know that there's going to be at least one like Michael Love ballad. But I don't need it. Like even as like a hopeless romantic, like I don't need that from her right now. Like we've had that. Like I got that with The Star Is Born. I got that with all these other things. Like I'm fine with like a bad bitch era that's like dark industrial, like what this song is. I'm totally fine with that. I also think it's, we'll wrap up here in a second, just offering final thoughts on the song, but um I also just think it's like genius because, Gen Z and like this newer generation really, what I'm learning, because I'm old, it's all about extremes and maximalism. And I feel like this song really, she was, it when you reach a certain age, especially as a female pop star, you really have to make smart choices as far as if you want to have longevity. And I feel like she pleased longtime fans with the sound and the vibe and the quality. She's pleasing newer, younger fans with not only the mood and tone and themes, but the just extreme of it all. I love Connor's like robe. Um, I don't know. I feel like um this is very calculated, and I feel like Chromatica was very calculated, but in a different way. I feel like this is very calculated in a, I feel like you can tell she's in the driver's seat, and I feel like she hasn't really been in the driver's seat since she was in the driver's seat for Art Pop, but she was kind of like driving under the influence. And with Joanne, she was in the driver's seat, but she was like driving while crying. And with
No, she was letting Joanne drive.
yeah, the spirit of Joanne. And then Chromatica, I feel like she was in the back seat. And I feel like this is the first time in a long time that she is in the driver's seat and full throttle. And I just I'm so excited for this era. So did you guys have any like closing thoughts on the song, or what you think of the era or anything?
I just hope there's a lot of treats and surprises and goodies for fans. I just want her. I just want her engagement, and I want her to really show us how excited she is. I don't know if we got that sense of excitement from her during Chromatica. We got stuff, but I never got the impression that she was like super passionate about the music. And I just want her to remind us that she is still passionate about making pop music, because I know her heart loves jazz and loves classical music and theater and acting. But she is a pop star, and I just want to make sure she's still in it to win it. Um, and I think she is, if she's making career moves like this. This is very wacky. It's very classic Gaga. So I'm just hoping she can really give us a great era that we can really enjoy.
Cal, any closing thoughts?
No, I mean that's a pretty adequate summation of what I'm thinking too. Like, especially if I'm right and things are just discombobulated and being rearranged and worked on in the background, then I'm glad that she's working on it, and I'm glad that there's a plan and that she's trying to make the plan, and things are, going according exactly as, Darth Sidious has foreseen, because she's in the dark side of the Force now.
Yeah, I something Connor said really reminded me. My online name is Bling, for Bling Not the Music, and I started that back in 2023 after the Art Pop 10th, what I call the Art Pop 10th anniversary cash grab, where fans have been waiting so long for the 10th anniversary, thinking we were going to get unreleased tracks or a reissue or something. And even in 2022 and 2023, it was just like Nurtec and House Labs and all these things. And I felt, even though I will be a lifelong fan, I just felt kind of disconnected from her, um, especially with sort of my mixed reaction to Chromatica. And I feel like I'm really excited Die with a Smile for me was like, it was good. I personally thoroughly enjoyed the Joker era and the Harlequin era. And now we're locked into this LG7 era. And for me personally, it's the first time in a very long time that I feel really connected to her musically. Because to be completely honest with you guys, like Joanne and Chromatica for me, even though I revisit them often and I like a lot of the music, um, it wasn't this like natural, I'm going to listen to that, I'm going to put that on replay. So I it's almost like I'm being a born again fan almost. Like I had kind of felt she not lost her way, but it didn't have this same like Gaga ness to it since art pop. And even art pop, we know how unhappy she was. And so as a Born This Way album and era lover, like I just feel like 13 years later we're back to that energy, but even better, healed, stronger. And I'm so excited for this era. So thank you guys so much for joining. I love diving into this stuff, and we don't necessarily have a release schedule for the House of Delusion, but we do have our sister podcast, Babble On with Bling, and I'll be inviting guests on there, and we'll talk about Gaga work and getting to know all of our awesome members. There's also Gaga trivia. And pop culture discussion. So we may, depending on what happens with the House of Illusion, we may end up discussing more new Gaga content, because I know that the fans really want that. So thank you guys so much for joining. If you're watching from YouTube, feel free to join us in the House of Delulu Discord server. That's discord.gg/House of Delulu. I'm Bling, and I'm joined obviously by Cal and Connor, and we will see you guys in the next one.